Go. And action.
Well, the world's on fire. And so were the West Tigers on fucking Saturday.
Hey.
West Tigers faithful episode. I think it is 57. Usually while the intro music is on, I tend to look that up. But we are here, as you can see, in the... What hotel room is this?
This is a Metro Aspire,
Yes.
level four. I won't say the room.
It's probably a good idea. It's opposite a housing commission block with no curtains. I could see Channel 7 in about 4 different units. Channel 9 and a few and a bit of SBS. But I think this is the first time since we got absolutely ratshit drunk for our end-of-year Christmas party at the back end of 2024 that you and I have been in the same room and recorded this.
Oh, that was a fucked up evening.
It was great. It is great to see you. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. We're at the tail end of one of the more action-packed weeks of my life. I think you could probably fairly say. I've been in Sydney since Saturday. Flew down on Saturday morning to go to the footy. You know, brought my quantum energy to Leichhardt Oval once more. Yeah, where I think it was like, I did the maths, I'm like 106 to 30 or something like that. And then been in beautiful Sydney for work all week at the Accounting and Business Expo, and this is what is it, the 5th podcast that I've done in the last 24 hours? 48 hours? Nah, because I did the one where I was also interviewed. Yeah. So this is the 5th podcast in the last, since yesterday morning that I've done. 3 episodes of PMID, my work podcast, Pinch Payments work podcast. And we're being assisted by Michaela, who is... who does the PMID production and all of the content for Pinch. And other than that, I got interviewed by some random dudes. But it's been real. What about yourself?
Not too much, mate. Just similar to yourself. It's been a week where I feel like I've been run off my feet, but come to the end of it now and get to see you. And obviously Friday makes it a whole lot easier. And watching our football team hopefully get a win on Saturday will make it a whole lot easier. You mentioned Sydney before and you say that it's beautiful. I know that you're from Grafton originally. You live in Brisbane now. What do you think about Sydney?
I like Sydney. I always like Sydney. I come down to Sydney and I always say to people, like, I don't understand why people who don't live in Sydney always brag on Sydney. They do. You might not know this. But
yeah, for sure.
People outside Sydney hate it and talk shit about it all the time. And people from Sydney talk shit about it all the time. I come down, but you know, like when I come down here, I usually get a hotel in the CBD and I'm like, you know, right where the action is all the time, you know. And the food, bro. Like, I guess like the fact that I like Sydney so much is that all the evidence one requires that I'm a foodie. Because, man, the food down here, like you can't like you couldn't take your shoe off and throw it without it landing on a restaurant, you know, and the in Brisbane is just not the same.
What's the best feed you've had this week?
This week, best feed this week. Oh, the steak. Yeah, no.
Where'd you go?
Meat District Co.
You mean Meat and Wine Co?
No, Meat District Co.
Meat District, which is actually next door, I think. Did you go to Barangaroo? Is that where you were?
Down on Darling Harbour, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Meat District Co. down on the water, just we're sitting outside and you can see the star from where we were sitting. But yeah, that steak, I had a ribeye. It was good. It was damn good steak. I remember like I took one bite of it and I said this out loud. I said, I've just had one bite of this steak and I'm already grieving its untimely demise, like, because I know it's going to be gone soon. It was good. So shout out to Meat District Co. But yeah, just went and ate at some, you know, in Chinatown there, and we had some dumplings, and that was good. So yeah, mate, it's just all happening here.
Solid, brother. Well, the Tigers dined out on the Cowboys, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in terms of news, I think the only thing that really comes to mind of this past week is the Bronson Xerri stuff, which was shut down inside 24 hours. It was a great Dave Riccio again, just dribbling out of his ass as usual, followed by the Tigers and most notably Benji Marshall shutting it down. Brent Reed mentioned something this morning on Triple M about Scott Drinkwater. Then that, you know, sort of went quiet because Benji denied it. It's a really weird one. Obviously, I think that, you know, they'll be looking at contingencies around Xerri. You know, should he go? And, you know, from our perspective, the situation hasn't changed in regards to the mail that I've given. But The Bronson Xerri thing, right? Obviously, we don't need Bronson. Bronson wants to play left centre. We have Taylor May there. Obviously, he's injured. We'll get to that. And Hiamasi Makasini, who I think is destined to be that guy long term, regardless of whether or not he goes to Rara, as per the conversation we had last week. I guess, what's your view on where we're at in terms of outside backs depth? Do we need to go into the market, given that it looks like we've got two centres that are made of glass? And where would you be shopping?
Yeah, I think we talked about this. I don't know. I think we have good outside backs depth, which, like right now, because you can see that regardless of the fact that we don't have Star, we're not going to have Taylor, we're still going to put out a pretty good side. You know, like a side that was capable of flogging the Cowboys. Looks like a top 8 side without them, to be honest. Don't know how much further down the depth chart we could get, but like losing your 2 starting centers and still being able to put out a good side is nothing to scoff at. I don't think. What about Skelton at center? It's a bit of an odd choice, but do we need to go to the market? I think so. I think we needed to go into the market. I think we need to go on the market anyway. You know, I think we need another. I don't think Patrick Herbert is, you know, like somebody that we should be banking on, like performing the role to a degree where, you know, he's kind of next cab off the rank. I think we should be looking at, and we should have enough cap. Like we kind of, I guess we're in that situation now where we kind of just don't have to, you know, we haven't got too many gaps to fill anymore.
Yeah.
So we should be able to actually just go out and get somebody.
Yeah, it's probably just that right centre position. And I think I'd mentioned it fleetingly a little while back. Like the club was certainly looking at it, but it's now at a point where, you know, if somebody else goes down, it really begins to get ugly. I understand that Stafford's due back next week against the Warriors.
He'll be out in 2 weeks.
Well, again, it just speaks to, you know, what we need to do. As you said, I don't think Herbert's the answer. If they could get Xerri in for 12 months, although, you know, it creates issues in terms of who plays where and somebody misses out.
Why has Xerri asked for a release?
So, as per Cameron Serraldo, Bronson had a groin complaint through the summer, and they had a look at a couple of different options, one of which was moving Critter from the right to the left, and then Anari Tuala, who is typically a winger by trade.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Moving on into that right centre position, and they were apparently quite happy with what Anari produced through the preseason, but obviously Bronson was the incumbent in first grade, so they persisted with it up until Vegas. It was 1 week. Now, from what I could see, it was just obvious that Bronson was a little bit allergic to passing the footy and he didn't have his bearings. But this whole thing about wanting to play left centre, I find it really interesting. Now, I understand he's a left-hand carry, right-hand fend. That's really important. And we've spoken about, you know, the mechanics of, you know, centre play and those sorts of things. But he played right centre for the Sharks when he first came into grade. So, you know, and the philosophy is that you should be able to play both sides well enough. And it's one of these things where it's like, well, bro, if you don't want to if you can't play left centre because the best centre in the world is playing there, don't you want to be playing first grade, you know, regardless, you know, even if it is at right centre? I mean, obviously, I know he's dropped. It's a weird situation, but I mean, look, if it derails the Bulldog season, I won't have the shares.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't want to play right centre at the Dogs and we need a right centre, then he's not really an option, is he? And also, like, do we really want another prima donna?
Well, that's the question. And obviously, like, the links were obvious with, you know, Desira being Benji's agent, he's Bronson's agent, but they've shut it down. So anyway, we move on from that. Obviously, you know, there's, you know, we spoke about last week in terms of the retention of some of those key players. One of those that came out of nowhere that we actually missed, and I had actually forgotten about it until right fucking now, is Adam Doueihi extending on his extension for another 2 years. So he's basically banked a 4-year deal.
Good on him.
Which I think is amazing for Adam the person. But my own boy and I were talking on X, follow us on X if you aren't already, about the fact that maybe the club jumped the gun on it. And that
Maybe
was
the club's what?
the club jumped the gun on giving him an extension. And we hadn't seen 80 minutes yet of a ball being kicked in anger, but we obviously hadn't seen a body of work this year, but the club were wanting to tie him up. Where do you sit on all of that? Was it something that it looks like the club is beginning to consolidate a lot of these guys that they regard as the nucleus. You've seen it with Twal now and AD and those sorts of guys. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I mean, as long as he stays healthy, like he's such a valuable player. Like a healthy Adam Dewey can play any position, like literally could play any position on the field.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like literally, like I mean, 13 is a middle, so like you could stick him in the back row or a pinch. Like there's no one like he'd be the most. He would be the like best utility player in the NRL, I reckon.
Yeah, Connor Watson and Tyron Wishart are up there, but could they play?
Well, I mean, they play utility. He's our halfback.
Yeah, true.
Right, but I'm saying like
true.
if he was a utility, he would be, just ridiculously good at it. So from that perspective, like I'm not worried, like, because if Latu Fainu makes himself undeniable or Shock Horror or Jock Madden makes himself undeniable, like Adam Dewey's got a spot in that top 17 any day of the week, twice on Sundays.
Absolutely.
Any position on the field. Adam Dewey, like I've always thought, just to digress a second, like I reckon Adam Dewey would have been an amazing winger if he just played wing his whole career. Just that traditional, like big, tall, rangy, goal-kicking winger.
South's tried that. South's tried that, but I think that Wayne Bennett actually apologised to him and said, "No, I completely messed that up. You're not a winger."
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a really...
But he was young.
Oh, for sure. And he was a lot quicker and he was a bit lighter and obviously didn't have the injury history. I mean, I don't think he's lost too much speed. I mean, he's never been quick to begin with. But look, I think it's more just getting that core nucleus signed up and assigning positions later. You're hearing this talk about Samuela, Hiamasi, obviously Jerome goes without saying, but, Jerome with the clauses, etc. Sione's obviously been redone as well, Alex Twal. So, they're obviously very, very keen to lock him up. Maybe it's just, look, let's just make sure you're in the building for the foreseeable future. It'll take him until he's 31. I don't think Adam Dewey would have anticipated that he would have had a 4-year deal.
No, he's done well.
A few years back. So, I agree with you. I think it'll be inevitable that he does move to 13. But the good thing is that, a guy that is a Balmain junior, although he did sort of fall by the wayside, he did come home and he's going to stay home, hopefully, for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I'm happy. And I think, you watch the form. Like, obviously, he's in good nick. He played amazingly well on Saturday, and so did Twal, and so did Sione. So I think that they're trusting what they saw in the preseason when making these decisions, and that's, again, I think we touched on that last week. Like, it looks like the all of the off-season metrics pointing at improved numbers, and it's actually translating to the performance on the field as we saw on Saturday.
Well, let's talk about it, obviously.
You got a bloody the yin-yang on your thing there. Did you see it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Masculine and feminine energy. I didn't actually assign that. This is my work laptop.
He's in.
And my username on it is Jared Reedie.
Okay, yeah. So they really respect you at work.
It was first week of the job. I said, that's a misspell. And
then it's like,
guy, Henry, just goes, can't fix it. So it's just remained that way forever.
That's such... What are you doing, Dan? Fix it.
Danny boy. That was well before his time. Well before that. You mentioned Saturday. It's about time that we probably review it. 44-16 winners, victorious. I think that your pre-game prediction was better than mine.
It was pretty close.
I think midway through the game, I sort of thought, the whole thing about never making it easy and them sort of being within 6 looked to be that it might have been the case. But I know that you probably felt an internal confidence that I did not. You were at the ground. I was not. Talk me through what you felt, what you saw, what you heard.
Well, I said this to a few people at the ground, and I actually went with Wok, and he was the only person who wanted to go with me. The rest of you piked, which is fine, whatever.
Apologies.
Good on Wok.
He's a great man.
He is. It was great anyway. And got to see Robbie Farah. Literally was just sitting there minding my own business half-time. Robbie Farah's just standing there.
Looking very good, by the way.
Yeah, he was healthy.
Do you reckon he injects melanin?
He's brown.
He's very tan.
He's very brown.
I mean, it doesn't really surprise me. He's got that Mediterranean skin.
Bro, he's just got back from like Mykonos or something for sure. Like,
without doubt.
And the guy who he was with was so lovely because I got up. I was like, at first I was like, should I annoy him? I don't know. I mean, he's standing on the hill like at Leichhardt. Surely he knows he's going to get approached. Okay, fine, I'll go.
And he's almost one of us now.
It's so bizarre. No one was talking to him. It was like people either didn't notice him because he was just like so inconspicuous just by acting so normal. Like, I'm supposed to be here, and people just was like, whatever. But the dude, he was
It's not like Hoops where he stumbles down the hill 3 times as he tries to go back to his family.
yeah. The dude he was with though was like 6'7" or something. Like, he had this gigantic, massive guy. He had this gigantic bro, like white beard, white hair. Didn't look like an old man.
Like the techno Viking?
Yeah. And he was like 6'7", but like, I called the guy Big Coptic because he just looked like a gigantic, like, Persian warrior or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was wild.
That does sound like somebody that Robbie
would hang out with Robbie Farah, yeah.
Probably they probably met a Tropicana and mechanized.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But no, the vibe in the ground, as I started by explaining that, and then the vibe in the ground was, it was like this, everybody was not surprised. It was like this, like, sense of inevitability. Like, last time that I went to Leichhardt and we flogged the Cowboys, everyone was delirious. Like, it was just a delirium from like the start of the game to the end of it.
Because, bro, that game was a fever dream.
Yeah, it was a fever dream, yeah. And that's kind of my point. Like,
this was different.
This was very different. Like, and it was the energy in the stadium of the fans, which came from somewhere. But like, we came out and you could see from the first set that we had them physically from the first set. And I know they got the first points with that goal. What a terrible decision that was, by the way, taking the penalty goal to like start the game off, because they they had just got the momentum after surviving 7 minutes of, like, you know.
Well, Luke should have scored.
Yeah, they survived 7 minutes of onslaught, and like, we were like all over them. They just got the momentum back, kick a goal, and then bang, in we go. Like, and they never got a look in after that. We got, like, ended up 28-2 ahead at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, you could just tell from the kickoff, and it was like, I guess the energy at first was like maybe slightly like nervous, kind of like, am I seeing this kind of vibe? Like, but then it was like, no, this is actually real. We're just all over him. And then in saying that, like, in the second half, when they got back to 16, you could get this sense, like, this, like, dread feeling.
Oh, and the amount of people that would have been in the ground last year, myself included, where, you know, we lost that game, and it did have that eerily quiet feeling again.
It went quiet, yeah.
But there was enough done, particularly around Adam Dewey getting out of the in goal and then us scoring.
That was so huge from Dewey.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, honestly, until Luke took that intercept and ran them length that, like, the game felt like it was over.
Yeah, exactly. That was when it really began to sort of turn. Line speed, I thought, came and went. I thought at the beginning there was a really, really strong sense of, you know, wanting to get up in their
they were
face.
hurting them. Yeah.
And they were, and their contact is clearly improved, which I think has to do with a lot of, you know, fitness and, you know, getting up off your line and being so physical, and our forwards wound up. Like Terrell May, I reckon he ran like that the first month of the season, and then obviously he was just trying to save energy to get through the games. He looked like how he did at the Chalk.
Jeez, he looked good. Yeah. He was so, and like, you do a 3-2-1, he wasn't even in it.
No,
but
he played 55 minutes.
But he was so good. Twally was so good. May and Twal looks like a completely different player. Like, he is in career best nick at 29.
Yeah.
Twally and May, when they weren't on the field, was when things were dicey. Like, it was literally when they were both off. That's when the Cowboys had, you know, look. And it wasn't like the Cowboys were flogging us during those moments. It was just like, that was when the game was even. While May and Twal were on the field, the Cowboys were not in the game. Not at all.
Yeah.
There was not one point in the game when both of them were on the field that the Cowboys were in it.
Which speaks to, obviously, the fact that Marshall's got to get that right, that rotation. Obviously, Bunty Afoa, weird one. He's not named. Yeah. He's not named in State Cup this week, but he's on the extended bench. Like, like jerseys 20, 21, 22s, maybe being there. You know, maybe he's a guy that holds the fort. I thought Royce Hunt looked a man reborn.
He was good.
But obviously,
He's not good defensively compared to May and 12, but
yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's the movements and the contact and the ability to hit and stick. And Royce is more the guy that comes out of the line and tries to force the error,
No,
as
and he
opposed to the
did that.
guy. Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But then he also got done for a penalty.
Yeah,
And he absolutely shot out of the line with about 10 before half time.
But yeah, I think that May, 12, Finu, and Kai Pierce-Paul, holy moly, that is a pack, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a pack.
Well, the one to talk about for mine that I don't think he's getting the plaudits is our captain.
Oh, Lua.
No, Happy Coruscant.
Oh, Happy, he definitely was our best player in the first 20, 30 minutes.
I thought his workout acting half was second to none. It was the first time that you've really seen him do the subtle, deception work.
Yeah, he looked good.
And the timing was right.
Oh,
A lot of
surprise off the back of good forward work.
Yeah, but like a lot of the time, like you'll see, our 13 or our 7 or our 6 maybe take too many steps forward and sort of, not catch the ball on the run.
Yeah.
This time around, Appy was sort of able to fuck with the markers at the ruck and then sort of get that ball away and create that time and space, which we've always spoken about for so long. It just hasn't really come through so quickly. Whereas this year, you can already, it's round 2 when you're already seeing it. But on top of that, his defensive work was so much better.
Yeah, it was.
He said it this week that he hasn't felt better after a round 2 game. And how old is he now? 48?
Yeah.
I thought he was unreal. And the error he forced on Marnie, that's just sleight of hand. It wasn't being brutal. It was just like, oh, well, you're going to leave your arm unprotected.
They did that twice too.
I'm going to hurt you. Yeah, challenge it.
Yeah, but I don't know what's going on this year. There's some weird shit when we're getting calls we don't usually get, and the opposition's not getting calls that they usually get. There's a full sense of inevitability about what's happening at the moment.
Quantum.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the halves pairing. You mentioned that you thought Dewey had a really good game. I thought he was really good ball in hand. The Pierce-Paul first try comes off the back of his work, catching the ball at speed on the ad line, playing fast and direct. And because he's such a strong ball runner and such a threat, a lot of the Cowboys jam in and turn their hips. He throws the ball beautifully out to Xerri, and then he has the presence of mind to square up and throw that ball to Kai into the biggest gap I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But I thought, and obviously the try that he scored AD, how the fuck did that happen? But
just see who was holding on to him, right?
Taumalolo.
It was Taumalolo and the 11.
Yeah, it was
Lukey,
was it Hill and Lukey? And then obviously Drink just didn't do anything.
Scotty Drinkwater just stood there.
Yeah, future West Tigers player Scott Drinkwater, if you listen to Brent Reed.
I wouldn't mind it.
The thing for me with AD was that I wasn't particularly impressed with his kicking. I thought it could have been a bit higher and a bit deeper. I thought that he probably didn't find the grass as much as I would have liked. After seeing him in that second trial against Penrith really kick back across the ruck, I didn't see it.
Yeah, also spoiled by the stupendous kicking game of Jock Madden, And Dewey, I'm not joking, Adam Dewey's never going to be as good a general kicker as Jock Madden. It's literally Jock Madden's skill. So, but if he's a 7 out of 10 kicker and an 8 out of 10 carry and a 7 out of 10, passer, that's pretty solid. He might not be, as good of a general as somebody like Jock, but he's certainly much, much, much more of a threat running the ball.
And I think that that's part of the structure, right? I think it's, his ability to create second phase or create opportunities like we saw for that first try to Kai, that are really important.
I did think that Jock was going to come on. I said that last week, but I also did say that I didn't think that it would happen if we were just all over him. And we were, so I still hold some, I wouldn't say hope, but I'm still a little skeptical. I still think that Jock Madden being named at 14 is a little bit of a clue.
There's a role to play, for sure. I'm just curious to see what happens. Obviously, Gerald got called in and did a fantastic job, but obviously, in a perfect world, what does that rotation look like? And I'm really curious to see it. Adam Dewey's partner in crime, he's got all the plaudits, and rightly so. And his work in terms of creating, so often you saw him at Penrith, particularly in his later years when he wasn't playing 7. Sometimes he'd go down dead ends or he'd hop around on the spot and, the footy wouldn't go anywhere. He looked so threatening and it's so good. But do we sit here now? And I know last year is last year and everybody's saying it, but you just look at him now and he just really is a genuine 6, isn't he? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, and the thing is now is that he's actually getting that quality ball. So often at Penrith, the ball went right or it went through the middle channel via Yo. Now, as we sort of predicted through the preseason, when he wants the ball, he gets it and he creates.
Yeah, you're getting a one of the best 6s in the NRL playing 6. What do you think's going to happen?
That's right.
That's just how it is. Like we saw it last year. As soon as he switched to 6, he started turning the corner. And now he's had a full off season training at 6 again in the structure, and you see it. Like, he is Jerome Luai. So for those out there that were writing him off, saying he was overrated at Penrith and he was never that good, and coming to the Tigers, evidence to, I think you're about to get made fools of. Shout outs, you know who.
There's many of them. Back rowers, Sam Weller had some phenomenal moments, but also some moments where I looked at it and I went, "Oh, he'd want that back." There was a knock on in the first half and a couple of missed tackles, but just threatening with every touch. Kick chase was phenomenal, and just poking his head through at all times. Like, I think that you'll see, and we'll talk about it. I think that there's points that Souths will leak between the tram lines. I think he's going to give Jamie Humphries all sorts of nightmares on the weekend. We are seeing the rise of such a brilliant player. And on the other side of the field, you've got an international that genuinely plays like one. And you can tell that they stripped his frame. He looks so explosive and so hungry. We barely saw the offload. Like, that try celebration, I was in raptures.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Here we go. We've got another British back rower. Yeah. Another good one.
On the right edge too.
On the right edge too, yeah. No, Sam Weller had like I said before, the starting props and the starting back rowers. I don't care. Like, I said this to a Tigers fan earlier in the week, and they're like, "Don't jinx it." And I'm like, it looks honestly like we have the best back row pair in the NRL. Look, like, what other NRL side has 2 gigantic, swarthy brown men that, like, nobody would want them running at him, that can do what those 2 can do? Sam Weller is so skilled. Like, Sam Weller, like, I don't even think that we've even seen him close to his full bag. Like, he can kick.
He can.
His short kicking game is good. He can get up under the high ball. Like, we haven't even touched the surface of Sam Weller, and Kai Pearce-Ball's very similar. It's like the Twin Towers, man.
The only 2 that I would argue are better are Kikau and Preston, but I don't think that Preston possesses the same skill set as both Sam Weller.
No, but he is a bloody good player.
He is a phenomenal player.
You are right.
In terms of that attacking skill set.
But I don't know, like, by the end of this year, if Kai Pearce-Ball and Sam Weller finally stay healthy and the Tigers do well, I reckon they'll be the best back row pair in the NRL. And if you, like, then look at how good May and Twelve are as a starting prop tandem, man, like, if this starting pack can stay healthy, like, they're up there. The way that they're playing, I look forward to the test when they run up against a good pack.
Well, we've got the Warriors next week, and given how good we looked against what is typically a much better forward back than what they served up, we should really make light work of South through the middle, realistically, and they showed signs of it last year early in the season and then they fell away. I'm really curious to see how they get on with it. We've touched on the Cowboys tries a little bit. It's probably just worth talking about. So it felt like the first try was disappointing because it was man for man. It was just more that Luke didn't slide out. And then that second try, like, obviously the ball to Tom Chester off Scotty Drink was sus, but realistically, Luke has a good crack, or should have had a good crack at Tom Chester, like 1-to-1, was sitting there pretty square and didn't make that tackle. I thought Luke obviously had a mixed game and he adjusted, it must be said, to take that intercept, and it takes balls to do that
cool.
after having a couple of tries scored down your egg. Make no mistake. But obviously a little bit of warning signs. Campbell Graham in the rearview mirror, Jack Whiten in the rearview mirror, who I don't think are as quick as Tom Chester, but certainly a lot more physical.
They're better.
Yeah. Like, I think Hiamasi did a really, really good job. He's not going to get the plaudits, and I think people expected him to explode. By the way, I told you to get on Luke Laliti, and I did 2 tries.
Yeah. You did.
I think around Hiamasi, I'm not super worried. I think it looks like he's going to handle his assignment okay. It's just Luke getting used to when to slide off, when to rush in, and making tackles, because he missed 2 of those, and they were crucial.
Yeah, he's small
Mm.
and he's young and he's inexperienced, and he will improve game by game. And I guess the other thing is that, to your point, he has that thing in him where he doesn't seem to like fall into a heap. Because I remember even last year, like he had some shocking moments, but like he's not the sort of player who, you end up being like he needs to be hooked, because he'll come and do something good and make up for it. So yeah, no, have faith. He'll be okay. But yeah, you're right. Like there was a couple of really glaring defensive issues, and I think that's got just as much to do with the fact that he had Marcy inside him. Like they're both inexperienced.
Absolutely.
So they're gonna have a lot of traffic coming at them this week. Like the South will stack them and go right after them. So they'll have to be on their game. But at the same time, completely unproven new right edge too that we've got defensively too. So we've got some issues there.
Most certainly, and we're about to talk about that. So Saturday, 7:35 up in Gosford. Our team is as follows: Jordan Buller at fullback, the wingers Sunia Turuva and Luke Laliti in name only. Benji Marshall said today that he's going to play Tito in the centres. Gerald Skelton and Hiamasi Makasini are the centres by name. I think Gerald's going to play on the right sting. The halves, Luai and Dewey. The starting pack remains unchanged. Terrell, Uppy, Fanua, Samuela, Kai, and Twali.
So Luke's not going to play, is what you're saying?
No, Luke will play. Luke will be left sting.
Yeah.
And then
Gerald right.
Yeah.
Sunia right center.
Yes.
Oh, so they're just switching Sunia and Gerald.
Yeah, correct. Gotcha. Exactly what you saw on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then that extended bench is the same jerseys 14-18. So Jock, Sione, Royce Hunt, Alex Seafarth, Tristan Hyde. Patrick Herbert comes in jersey 19. Bunty Afoa appears in the reserves for the first time this year, as does Falatino Tabana, which makes me wonder whether or not he's on a development deal.
Yeah, he must be.
Cool.
He can't be in the trainer trolley. He wouldn't be named.
You are right. And Tony Sukkar rounds out jersey 22. The South Sydney Rabbitohs are unchanged. And we'll talk about them in a little moment. Oh, actually, Jamie Humphries is in. I thought Brandon Smith would be back, but he's not, which is a win for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, depends who you ask.
Well, we'll talk about that in a little while. Let's talk defensive edges. We sort of spoke about Luke and Hiamasi, and I thought Hiamasi handled himself well, and Luke got himself into some good positions and made some adjustments, but didn't actually make tackles. Then on the other side, the thing that has been worrying me the entire time is simply their edges, but Sunia Turuva on Latrell Mitchell looks a severe mismatch. What do you do?
I would be playing Patrick Herbert at right centre and Sunia Turuva at right wing, and I would move Gerald Skelton to left wing and put Luke Lalea on the bench. Personally, that's what I would do. I know Patrick Herbert's, not a world beater, but he's a centre, and he's bigger than Sunia. I would trust him to defend Latrell Mitchell better than I trust Sunia Turuva to defend Latrell Mitchell. That's what I would do. Doubt it's going to happen. I think we're probably just going to have to accept our licks and win anyway. Yeah. Like Latrell's going to get his. I just think that's just what's going to happen. Like Latrell's going to give Sunia a bath a couple of times, but Sunia's a dog. Like he'll have a crack, but
he's no slouch. And I think that his ball playing ability at centre is really interesting. Like there was a couple of times where he almost skipped through the line and then, was able to sort of breeze through contact and give that ball to Gerard. He has that in him.
Yeah, that's true. Because he's a fullback. He's fullback. But that's what I would do. Like I not just because of Sunia, but also because I would prefer to see Gerald on the left wing outside of Marcy than Luke. So I think it would be just stronger edges if you played it that way.
Tough one, I guess, because realistically, you would say, you can't drop a kid like that after he took an intercept and scored a couple of tries, and he's so young in his career. But at the same time, there's the, he's going to Perth and.
I don't even think that he would have been picked ahead of Skelton if Skelton was healthy anyway.
Oh, not a chance. I think it's more Benji just looking to reward a winning team. It's the same.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
It's the same with Bunty, right? Like in the sense of, if...
We can't change the team if they just flogged somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it sends a bad signal.
And I understand that. And, that's important.
But I also think it's a bad idea. I think that's bad mentality. I think you got to pick the team that's most likely to win every week.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be an interesting one, and I'm curious to see how they use Latrell, whether or not it's early ball or whether or not it's sort of at the line. I feel like with early ball we can sort of scramble a little bit better, even if it is close to the line. And I think that this side is going to move. It's going to haul ass to scramble and get across the line. I know that obviously AD and Kai are going to be held up by Cody and Fafita, and rightly so, because they are very, very difficult players to defend in their own right. But if Latrell gets that early ball, that's going to be a problem. It's when they start throwing fucking block shapes or they start getting cute that's when that's when it's going to be a worry. When it's man-to-man, midfield sort of 25 out, 15 out, 10 out, that, when Cody, is given the opportunity to scheme and plot, that, there might be points. And I'm not under any illusions. That left edge is going to score points. Chances are the right edge is going to score points. I think a lot of this match simply comes down to Wyatt Raven's officiation. He's just come off the Brisbane Parramatta game. You saw momentum swing very much through that match, like a pendulum, and whether or not we can weather the storm. I don't think South, we've spoken about it ad nauseum. I don't think they've been that good. They played Redcliffe to start the year, and it was a tit-for-tat match, and Redcliffe was so passive with their right edge, and didn't move up at all and just allowed, Latrell and AJ to dunk on them. And then, they played a Roosters side last week, and yeah, they got the record, and that was great, but they got fucking bashed through the middle.
Yeah, they got beat. They got beat, and the Roosters had been coming off getting shellacked.
They did.
So, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think the form lines are very good. You know what I said about them in the preseason.
Oh, don't I ever. I was teeing you up for another clear.
I think that, well, look. All right, then.
All right.
Nah, look, I think there's a pretty good chance that South score like 5 tries in this game.
Oh, I completely agree. It's just whether or not we can score 6.
Yeah, but there is also, that's going to, I think 5's probably the max. I think that would require them to probably capitalize on all their chances. Mm-hmm. I think one thing that I'd probably be looking to do is I'd probably be looking to send Skelton on some kamikaze style tackles onto Latrell.
That'd be nice.
Get in there and just belt the shit out of him, because Latrell's kind of made of glass. Imagine what Latrell would do if Skelton got under his ribs. I don't think Latrell likes getting hit much, and it also fires him up pretty hard. Yeah, I know you'd never do, but I would love to see it. I would love to see Skelton line him up the way Skelton lines people up.
That would be phenomenal to watch. Cody Walker, I just think you've just got to pester him all night long. And you could tell that there was a bit of lip given by the Tigers players last week.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were getting stuck into him.
I hope that doesn't disappear, regardless of where the scoreboard sits and those sorts of things, because Cody can fly off the handle.
It's not just the lip they were giving, though. The way that the Tigers are playing is just tailor-made to piss teams off, because their line speed, hit hard, not giving them time to do anything. Yeah, Cody Walker's going to end up frustrated. I don't know whether I think that the Tigers are going to win by a lot or a little, but I don't think that they're going to lose. I'd be very surprised if South beat us this week.
Well, in regards to how we win, I think that their defensive edge down their right, I think Graham is phenomenal defensively, and I think Jack Whiten's pretty good too. And Talis Duncan's okay, but early cohesion with Jamie Humphries, first time they played together this year, you'd think there'd be some chinks and sort of, some holes in the road. I feel like there's points there to be scored around Jerome, and I think that he's the guy to take advantage of that. But even on the other side, you look at the try that Daly Cherry Evans scored to open the scoring in that match last week. David Fafita just asleep at the wheel missed his assignment.
David Fafita.
And Adam Dewey is a far better ball runner than Daly Cherry Evans from my perspective.
Yeah.
In this current day and age, 10 years ago, different story, but I think that there's points there to be scored, and they're going to score points too. It's just making sure that we just deal with the momentum swings. They're probably going to score a few tries in a cluster. It's just making sure that, obviously the belief is there and we're ready to, to take advantage when momentum swings our way. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and that was sort of what happened last week. Like there was, there were momentum swings, but when we had the momentum, we held it for longer. And I think that that's where the pack comes into it, right? Like if you have the momentum, it's your pack that keeps you in the game, keeps you, getting the 6 agains because you're getting on the front foot. And Appy's so good at coming out of dummy half to like get those repeat sets. And as long as our pack stays on top, we'll win our fair share of games, and I think this will be one of them.
And that's a big deal. Obviously, guys like Keon Koloamatangi and Cam Murray, I think are elite players in any pack. But I think, Tavita Totola hasn't been the same player that he was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Bronson Garlic, I think he's a reserve grader, respectfully. David Fafita, when he's hot, he's boiling. When he's not, he's freezing. Like Talis Duncan, I think he's an out-and-out great player. But I look at their bench and I look at it compared to our bench, and I really do think that there's a bit of a gulf there, and that if we're within 12 hypothetically, and don't panic if we're behind with sort of 20 or 25 gone, like their bench is Mamazellas, UNA, Aiken, Sean Kepi, Jaden Sullivan, Lachlan Hubner, Moala, Graham Torfa. Hubner and Kepi will do the work through the middle, but neither of them I think are going to make a dent, compared to, Royce and Sione, realistically. I think Hubner's a really solid footballer, but I don't think he's a guy that I'm necessarily worried about. So once this game, the benches begin to come into it and those sorts of things, I can really see us, making solid inroads. It's just dealing with that early influx, and hopefully we start fast like we did last week, and we're sitting here, this time next week with a second successive win cast.
Indeed.
Any predictions you want to make about the match?
West Tigers, I think 36. Rabbitohs 26.
Yeah, I think it's going to be high scoring. When you said South score 5 tries, I tend to agree. It's just, I think it'll be close. I think it'll be high scoring. It'll be like 34, 20, 26 or something like that.
This is like 2 points difference to my prediction.
Oh, there you go. I wasn't listening.
I said 36-26. You said 34-26.
I haven't been confident. Like, I wasn't confident at the beginning of the week at all. I was like, oh, fuck, we're losing. Like, Talon's the only bloke that we had that can handle Latrell. And I watched them play South. Watch them play the Chooks back, and I sort of saw us. And don't get me wrong, Atkins gave us a strong hand. It's just, but at the same time, I'm choosing to believe that our defence is a little bit more disciplined.
I think so too. And I think that, even though the Souths do have some good players, I think our players are playing above themselves. And I don't see that in Souths. I don't think Souths are playing at the best. I don't think you're seeing the best version of every single one of those players. Right now, I think you're seeing the best version of every single one of our players, bar Jeremy Buller. He's the only player in our side who am I wrong? Like, on round one form, you can make an argument it was a career best game for literally every single one of them. You could.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcy's second game, so it's like small sample size, but that was like Jerome Luai's best club game. Adam Dewey had an absolute blinder. May and 12. Well, I mean, May's probably had better games, but as good as it gets in the minutes. 12, Samuela, Kaipius Paul, it was just not, the whole side was just playing at a level that I've not seen any of them hit ever.
Well, let's hope it continues, and that Jerome turns it round. I actually thought he played okay, but I understand obviously the errors late.
Too many errors, man. 4 errors.
But as I've spoken about, fullbacks do make errors, and sometimes they have the right to make that error, and it's on the team to defend it. At the end of the day, they've got to take those high risk plays, but hopefully less errors and more points creation.
High risk plays though, just shitty fumbles.
Oh, well, I mean, he came down in that.
There was 1 or 2.
And
there was some pretty shitty errors.
Down the short side, you should have done better there. But that was, if that comes off, I think we score again. And then obviously taking that ball off Scotty Drink, that was good scramble from the Cowboys. I will say that. Look, he should have done better, yes. But at the same time, they did well to get back.
Pull your head injury.
Anyway, and sign the contract.
Otherwise, leave.
let's talk through. Holy shit, there are 1,
Quick question,
2,
actually.
3, 4, 5. Go on.
Tino
Halfway's down.
on the extended bench
Hmm.
means that he's the next outside back off the rank behind Herbert.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
It means he's probably going to debut pretty quick.
Interesting that he's jumped Solo, who I thought actually had a better game than him last week. I know that Tino, and we're talking about Cup now. Tino scored that fantastic try, but
I haven't seen him.
a couple of errors and some defensive lapses, I think.
Yeah, but he's a freak.
He is a freak, and, sometimes it's similar to what I just said
He's a
about
first
Jareem. Sometimes you have to allow him to make the error because sometimes when it comes off, it can win your matches.
And Tino's the sort of player, you can just tell, like, with certain guys that he's the sort of player that, like, in bright lights and in first grade, he'll be a superstar.
You're so right. Yeah, I'll give you that. New South Wales Cup, we lost to the Bears. After sitting here grinning like fucking Cheshire cats, looking at Harrod and Wilson in the halves and going, oh, yeah, this will be...
We're going to flog them, yeah.
It was going to be a cakewalk. And when Charlie Murray scored early, you're thinking, okay, this looks good. Backs were lively. And the forwards looked really solid to begin with, and then it just fell away. And you're sitting there going, how the fuck? Well, they were so passive defensively. You have a look at that first try. They are backpedaling. What I described about the Dolphins' right edge defensively against South was similar to what we were doing. Just no one wanted to make a tackle. It was like they'd never met each other before. And obviously, like, it goes without saying, half their spine was on our extended bench at Lockhart Oval. No Tristan Hope, no Jog Madden. I know obviously you had designs on Jog playing first grade, but they would have anticipated and done a lot of work through a post session through the summer that he would have been their 7.
Yeah, I agree.
And Iverson is not even the 7 this week. He's gone. Which speaks.
Is he hurt or dropped?
No, I think he's been dropped. Which is a big deal. My hotspot has fallen out. I'm just gonna try and find the team list, but I know that he's out of it, and that's disappointing because I know Iverson can play, but he's not a 7, he's a 6. But the thing is that when you got a guy like Jabe on there, he's never going to get that spot. Again, Sakura was strong out of yardage. I thought Josesi Lenyon was lively around the middle, like that try that he helped to create with Jack Outhard, sort of throwing the ball to Sukar, retrieving the offload, throwing the ball to Outhard. That was really nice. And obviously Charlie Murray picked up where he left off, but yeah, I'm just sitting there going, how the fuck did that happen? It was just disappointing. Did you see it?
Nah, I didn't watch it. Been too busy. I mean, I was at the game.
True.
They played at the same time. I would have loved. I don't know. Like, how did that happen? Like, how do they have a Leichhardt game and New South Wales Cup's playing an hour before them at Lidcombe Oval instead of just having a curtain raiser?
And Flake's playing on the Sunday.
How the hell does that even make a sense? Like, just move the New South Wales Cup game an hour earlier and play it at Leichhardt.
Yeah, I know.
It makes no sense.
Looks ridiculous. Look, positive. Heath Mason looked really good with the ball in hand. Like, really good. Like, was really dangerous and made a lot of meters. Yeah. Defensively, he was okay. Wasn't great. That left edge was pretty shaky, but yeah.
Charlie Murray, man of the match.
Kind of expect that. Yeah, he was. I'd say he was our best. Like, why wouldn't he be? He's just been so good through the summer. Looking at the team news, Max Tautua is in at centre. Ben Stevanovic is at halfback. That's who's replaced Iverson, which I understand. I think they had to do that. Bit of needs must. Vucker's starting. Charlie Murray's at prop. And Mav Guy, who I think was a late exclusion, is at lock. And now we find out that Ethan Roberts has got a foot fracture, and I think he's round 4, round 6. So obviously, getting those guys to trickle back, I think will be really important for that team. And I think that Hope and Madden, particularly if they don't get a game this week, they'll play in that. I think they play in Sydney the day after we play the Warriors.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. They might even play even if they do play NRL.
Yeah. And
can they do that?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, that's happened before.
Yeah.
Kid Lowley, he played against the Chooks last year where he went to, Grandpa Simpson when he walks into the Gentleman's Club and then fucks off out the door. That was him when he dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And then Benji hooked him.
They sent him to
yeah, they sent him to Cup and he went and did that. So, yeah, there's no problem with it. It's just obviously, the club's...
Where is Kit?
Whereas Kit's got a concussion. He's another one that's got to come into that side. And he'll really help too.
Because he looked real good in the preseason.
He did. So, one to consider as well. And Jared Haywood is in that side as well.
He's in New South Wales Cup.
Yes, and Mitch Tautua has also been promoted. So, bit of a different flavour this week against the South side, who's been pretty terrible to start the year. Matt Duffy, just looks like an immortal. But that's what you expect. But in saying that, he's playing behind a very, very poor forward pack, so I'm expecting good things. Jared Haywood, spoke about him before. He played a pretty key role in our win in flag against the Silvertails, as did your boy Logan Brooks, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But Jared, there was the first try we score. Go back and watch it in New South Wales Rugby League TV. He gets the ball out of acting half. He takes one step. He throws a ball that cut out, I'm not even kidding, 4 defenders.
From dummy half?
From dummy half. And then we just went block for block, and they threw the ball to Will Craig, who finished beautifully, by the way.
Yeah, twice.
Bang!
Yeah.
Scored in the corner. He did it twice, you're right. The first one was just pure, like just looked at the winger and said, you are nothing, and just gone. And then the second try, there was 4 players around him, like they scrambled really well. Just like, nah, I'm the guy. Score.
He's arrived, bro.
Just in time when he's on a top 30.
Oh.
But that ball from Haywood, holy shit. But, man, Shane Sultana, God, I reckon he's probably 3 years away from being an NRL assistant coach. That's how highly I rate him. They are so good to watch. They're fit, they're fast, they have a very clear game plan. They hammer you through the middle. I was like, obviously they played Fiji, right? And I get that. And they play South this week, who are a step up. But
Premiers.
they've got like this small ball approach this year. Like they benched Harry Delaney, who was their captain last year, and you got Liata Gaga and these sorts of guys sort of scheming through the middle, and they hit you hard through the middle on both sides of the ball, and they're like with this speed and aversion, and then like just straight out away, just the width of passing, Haywood just goes bang, fucking like. Pritchard just goes bang. Like they just throw the ball wide, block. Brooks gets the ball. Sure enough, it's a foregone conclusion. They scored. They are so good to watch.
Man, yeah,
unreal. But
crazy.
Logan Brooks, fucking,
3 tries.
I thought he was wonderful. Scored 3 tries. 2 of them were soft, but it speaks to his acceleration off the mark and his ability to beat a defender one-on-one, which he's always had. He's always had that. But that first try he scored was the best of the bunch. That was excellent.
Guess who we're talking to next week?
Oh, Logan. Okay, awesome. That'll be great. Well, I'm gassing him up now, so maybe I won't. I'll go a bit easier on the superlatives now.
I was just thinking to myself, like before, when you accidentally misspoke, and I thought you would like do an Asian accent. Like you said something, and I was like, and then my brain, when you started talking about Logan Brooks, that like, I want to be ninja thing. That I was thinking, I was like literally daydreaming about like making like a audio track for like introducing Logan and being like, I'm Logan the Ninja.
Where's AJ? We need AJ to do that. That's unreal.
That's why I was laughing to myself. I just went off in this like fantasy land where I was
it's like when we ran that It's Miller Time segment. And it was just Miller watch right up until the point he made his debut, and then he went back to reserve grade and played like shit.
Yeah, and then now he's playing for Flegg at Para.
Yeah, he is. The last one of the flag plays, Heath Pritchard looked like a 5'8".
That's good.
He was mad, man. Like squared up really nicely, played deep into the line, and was instrumental in a couple of tries that we scored late. So
it feels like we've had him at the club forever. And
well, he came through with Lachlan and Talon.
Yeah, he was in the undefeated Mackie side, right? Yeah. He was a 6 in that side of 9.
No, I think he was a 14.
Oh, he was a 14. Oh yeah, no, he wouldn't have been the 6. But yeah, he's always had raps.
He has.
Yeah, he's always had raps. So he's one that I was surprised didn't really have a sparkling sort of SG ball run, but hopefully he's finding his footing.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't see heaps. They went out of the Warriors at home after being up at halftime and fought well for their lead. Isedale and Azzy leading from the front again. They'll be disappointed to lose after being ahead at halftime. And Balmain have nailed their starts. It's just their finishes, and it's been commonplace this year. It's just really disappointing. Blake Van Dree was back. He was really good. Really strong return from injury, and they'll really benefit from having him.
Do you reckon he'll play Flegg this year?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think you compare him to his counterpart in Siatame. I think he's definitely more ready physically.
Okay, sure. That's interesting considering they had Siatame playing in the NRL trials.
Yeah, I just think that Blake reminds. I think they'll both get a crack. In different facets. And obviously Siatama's on a development deal next year. He's actually a higher priority than Blake, but yeah, I can see. I loved what Shane did last year when he got into the role, and he identified certain players, in the lower grades, obviously the ones that he coached at Balmain's, but also the ones at West, and they had a similar body shape to Blake, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him there. Speaking of those teams below them, SG Ball were fucking disappointing for West. Realistically, I said it through the week, and, South bullied Manly the week prior, and Onatoni was, beat into a box, and, you're sitting there going, surely, and they didn't turn up. It's just all so premeditated at the moment. Like, it's like last year all over again. We have these weapons. We don't use them. Or if we do use them, teams know it's coming and they double team on kids like Phoenix or Aaron Payer or Boston Lovau, who I think has something, but they're just not using them correctly. And I'm not going to sit here and point fingers at players or coaches or whatever, but it just all seems a little bit premeditated. I don't know whether or not, there was enough work done in the preseason. You look at the first grade side, I know there's a difference, but they're just so fit. I just don't know if that, and they look so well conditioned, I don't know if that's trickled down yet, and that's disappointing. Phoenix, every time he touches the ball, he looks dangerous, but he's not getting the ball enough. And when he's getting the ball, sometimes, people are already anticipating it. Aaron Payer scored an unreal individual try early in the game. Just go and have a look at it. Like, he just bounces out of like 5 tackles and scores. I've always thought he's had something. And it's great to see it translate to SG Ball, and he's one that I'm really interested in. I think he'll end up a winger. But, I think he's had a really good campaign since coming into the side. And as I said, that Boston Lovau, I think he's got something, eh? Like,
120 kilos of dense frame.
Yeah, but he's quick.
Yeah, he's good fend as well.
He reminds me of a less devastating but slightly quicker Solomon Salku.
Yeah, bit of balance to worry about him.
Yeah, that's a good comp. I'll talk about another frustrating team before I talk about a team that I'm actually really keen to speak about, and that's West Matt. Just frustrating again. I don't know what's going on there as well. I don't know whether or not it's a West Magpies-esque thing, but again, you just look at it, it all looks a little bit premeditated, or structure fails in the moments where it should succeed. Just the lack of cohesion this far into the season. There are some amazing individuals. I think there are players there that have genuine first grade pedigree. Isaac Isdale, Kingston and Zeph Finau. Isaac Searle has really impressed me these past couple of weeks in losing sides. Tarawi Golding Lions I've always been a fan of. These guys are guys that I think have really, really strong pedigree, but just collectively as a team, it's just falling down. I feel like they should be so much higher on the ladder, and here we stand, and, I don't think they're going to make finals. I think, I thought that the game against Illawarra would have been the game to kickstart it a little bit. And, when Monson went off, we finally saw a reaction. But just for whatever reason, they don't nail their starts. They end up chasing their fucking tails. They manage to claw it back, and then they fall away. And it's been a consistent motif throughout their entire season, and it's really disappointing. Manly just beat us with speed and tempo. Their halves were tall and physical and quick. They get the ball on the ad line 15 metres out and then breeze through us. They'd step inside A's inside shoulder and just score. Like, it was just disappointing. But anyway, again, look, at the end of the day, winning comps in junior grades, and we're going to try and talk to Shannon or Bronson, at the end of junior rep season. And we'll talk about this. Like, realistically, if you can get 4 guns out of a team and grow them and develop them, and they,
or in our case, out of an age group,
that's more of a success, obviously, than winning junior grades and then no one doing fucking anything. Obviously, you look at, was it 03 that the Magpies won SG Ball?
The Liam Fulton, Bryce Gibbs team.
Yeah, De Goyce.
I think it was 03. Yeah.
Ryan Hoffman.
Might have even been 02.
That's the dream, right?
No, it was definitely 03.
Yeah, that you produce these kids that go on and play first grade and then win premierships.
Yeah.
So, and if they win comps down there, then that's great. But, obviously it's getting that balance right of winning games and understanding what it is to win games and how to win games, and, team cohesion and stuff. And then also players development. And I feel like, we've got one and a half out of those 3 at the moment. That's disappointing. Balmain, they won. And
can't believe it. It's the first win of the season, isn't it?
No, they beat Sunny Coast week 1.
Oh, okay.
Tommy Arroyan, we've spoken about him a lot. and he was always going to be the supreme prospect of this team. He was fucking phenomenal, just out the back of shape. I thought Cesaro, the man with the name like the Roman general, Marcus Cesaro, did some really good work just freeing him up, identified the player he wanted to get to so that way he could create space for Tommy on his outside, played nice and direct there and squared up with his hips before, hitting the, sort of getting the ball away. And Tommy did the rest, scored a couple of tries, and his goals were the difference. And that's a really important skill to have coming through. I think he's got some serious talent, Tommy, and I think he's somebody that is going to progress through the grades. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him lighting up flag like Logan within a few years.
That's awesome.
I think he's got that level of talent. Sione Meyer, he continues to impress me. I thought he had a good week last week. I thought he backed it up again. And the forward pack, they did what they had to. Obviously, defensively, there was a couple of moments, particularly at the ruck, that they wouldn't want it back that led to points, but they won. And realistically, that's all that fucking matters. So,
absolutely.
Anywho, I feel like I've been monologuing for a second. Is there anything?
Well, I just haven't had time to watch bloody junior games, so there's just not much point me talking about it. Do you reckon we're at a point where we should be just playing West Tigers all through the grades instead of this split shit?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because obviously, it allows you to have two full squads, right?
To what end? Like, you got two weakened squads and, players need confidence. Like, we've talked about that.
And cohesion. And
You've talked about that before, yeah. And it also, I reckon it, like, low-key creates tension. Like, why would we, like, want the players that we're trying to bring through to, like, have rivalries with one another? Like, it's weird. Yeah. And you see, like, I think, like, allowing the West Magpies and Balmain Tigers to perpetuate as lower grade brands is part of why there's still these fucking dumb, idiot, die-hard fan bases still. Like, you still see, like, Maggie supporters getting out there to Lidcombe watching New South Wales Cup that refuse to go to first grade games and shit.
I heard that Dennis, the only reason he turned up to Leichhardt was because Sean promised Grapper at the end of the game. That didn't happen. It didn't happen before we get a C&D. Look, there are arguments for and arguments against. And I get all of that. And then you include the regional sides that we possess through MacArthur with AJC and LDC.
Look how good
by the way, finals this weekend at the
I thought it was last week, but it was this week, the Oaks.
Yeah, the Oaks, which we spoke about. It's an interesting one because obviously you want to widen the talent pool. Maybe you do a West Tigers A and a West Tigers B.
Well, instead of Balmain and Wests. Yeah, or maybe we go West Tigers and then we just have like a Bathurst team or some shit.
A Western Sydney Academy or
something like that.
Or a MacArthur something.
MacArthur Mustang.
MacArthur Ruse or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I'd like to see us.
I don't care. I don't think we need two teams. I don't know. I just don't understand why we need two teams.
Well, I mean, you look at sides like the biggest geographical junior bases, Canberra, St. George or Illawarra and Penrith. I mean, the Dragons have got two teams, but the other two don't. So.
And like, if you think back to, all of the juniors that are pushing through, you're like, you're getting a good mix, Tony Sukar and Jared Hayward from the Tigers, and then like, pretty much just Magpies aside from that. Am I missing a Tiger that come through?
No, I think you're about right. There's been a lot of Maggies.
So you don't reckon?
I mean, Ali Seafar's about main boy.
But that was about 10 years ago he debuted. You think like if you took all of Balmain's premium prospects and you just put them in the West Magpies side, that like we would be missing out? Like, do you reckon Tony Sukar or Jared Hayward would have just not got game time? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, was there some supreme hooker in the Magpies side that was keeping Hayward out of it?
Talent is... no, they're different ages.
Different ages.
I apologize.
So, like, no, I just don't see it. I don't see the reasoning. It doesn't make sense to me. It just feels like lazy, poor planning to me. It just feels like the sort of thing where like they just haven't thought about it and it's like, it just is what it is. Maybe we should change it. Well, maybe you should change it.
Well, Shannon and Bronson, I know that they occasionally listen to this. If you are listening to this, we will ask you this when we record.
I don't think that would be even their say. It'd be based on some bullshit like
It'd be HBG
HBG
Clause
shit.
82 of the West Tigers Constitution.
It'd be some shit like that. It'd be some shit where like it's probably Balmain.
Thou shalt not fuse together junior representative outfits.
I know that the Magpies, as part of their initial, as part of the agreement, I think that got written when they took over the Balmain shares. I think part of it was that they get the rights essentially to play New South Wales Cup as West Magpies. And probably with that, it means that, West Magpies perpetuate. But it's probably Balmain that are like, we still want Balmain Tigers sides. Just call them West Sides and get the fuck over it. Like, I just don't understand.
Another call for unity.
New South Wales Cup should be West Tigers too.
I agree there.
Like, what are we doing?
Anyway, here we are. Any parting words before we get moving?
Fuck you, Wayne Bennett.
Good luck to all West Tigers affiliated teams, as I always say at the conclusion of every week, as my partner in crime pisses himself laughing at his own stupid jokes. Strangers.
Follow us on what?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Google Podcasts.
We're on Amazon.
I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe
yeah, she put PMID on Amazon.
It must be the distro software that I use. I might have to
get it on Amazon, mate.
Yeah, all right.
And there's apparently another one, Podbean? Nah. No, what's the Pocket Podcast or some shit? We got to get it on all of them.
Nonetheless,
get it on all of them.
Follow us, all of those things. Hit the bell so that way you get notified.
True Social. We're on True Social now.
We don't use as many commas and an exclamation marks as Donnie T, but nonetheless.
True Social, baby. Threads. We got Threads.
Oh God. Yeah, and Blue Sky.
Signal.
Yeah, Telegram.
Signal's where we send our clandestine conversations.
Which is just photos of his nipples.
Yeah, it is.
Follow us on all relevant platforms. Other things to follow or pre-save in this instance, AJ and Punchakoala are releasing Strangers pretty soon. The pre-save link, should be buried somewhere in the description wherever you listen or watch.
I thought that was last week.
Yeah, no, the pre-save link is live. Just going to push it again. Thanks for having us. We will be back in our virtual capacity next week.
We're only strangers. Do you know I wrote the lyrics?
I know you did.
See ya.
Fell off.
There you go.